What's up, people? It's Saturday, so the 53-man roster is set, and we pretty much know what team we're going to be bringing into the 2013 season. And on top of that, we had the preseason game a couple nights ago. I'll talk about that first. There's really not too much to say. The starting offense had one drive. They drove down for a touchdown, and they sat down for the rest of the night. They looked great. Just, a little four-play drive, no problem. They look ready for the season. The defense had a great game. They're ready for the season, forcing turnovers, getting to the quarterback, the starters, and the backups. That all looked great. Backup offensive line got a lot of time against the Oakland starters. They looked inconsistent, but when you're going up against starters, when you're a bunch of backups, that's not a surprise. So I can't really complain about that. Stephen Williams made another big play. Christine Michael continued to make positive plays for us. Obviously, he was stuck behind a inferior offensive line, but when he did have the opportunity to do something, he did. Very excited to see how he plays this season. Backup quarterbacks played very well, in my opinion. Walter Thurmond had one of the best games I've ever seen him play, and he's ready to step into that nickelback role, take it away from Marcus Trufant last year, who's been cut by Jacksonville now, so I almost wonder if he'll come back here just to hang around almost. And yeah, so things are looking pretty good from that game. Not a stellar preseason game, not really even all that meaningful preseason game because it is the fourth preseason game, but from what you can take from it, pretty positive stuff. The negatives would, of course, be Chris Harper, who had two big drops, including a touchdown, and that pretty much sealed his fate to be released off the team, and indeed he was. So to talk about the cuts we made now, I'm going to go over the players that we waived, just to, just really talking about the guys who I thought were noticeable cuts. Like I said, Chris Harper, fourth-round draft pick, we've decided to let him go. We're going to retain Jermaine Kearse, and it looks like we're going to retain Stephen Williams. So, sucks for Harper because I'm sure he's a talented guy, but when there's no room for you on the team, there's no room for you on the team, and that was the case for him. T.E.'s Sean McGrath, who had a touchdown grab against Denver and was a big guy, but not really any room for him on this team once again because Luke Wilson has played so well this preseason. Silver Seguila released, which is kind of interesting because he was obviously the guy we traded for in the John Moffitt trade, which really tells me that we didn't think much of anything of John Moffitt and we just wanted to get him off of the team. So basically, we just got rid of his salary. That's the only thing we get out of that transaction, which is fine by me. Seguila was a guy who made a couple preseason plays, but we decided we'd rather acquire the tight end from the defensive tackle from Jacksonville. I just read about it a little bit. We traded for, a low draft pick for him. I don't know too much about him. I can't even remember his name off the top of my head, but that's the guy we're going into now as as part of a very deep defensive line. So that's obviously a very high priority for us, which is good. I mean, it makes sense. And also there was Brian Walters, who was not really a notable cut. In fact, I'm sure everybody expected him to be cut, but he actually played his high school football just down the road from where I'm currently located. So I know people in this area who knew him personally, so we were kind of hoping he would do all right. Did not happen. Other than that, you had Clinton McDonald, who had his veteran contract terminated. Not a bad player, but not somebody who you really miss. I remember him making some plays over the past few years, but no room for him. And of course, Brady Quinn, which I'm fine with. Brady Quinn had a good preseason, but there's not room for him on this roster, and the third-string quarterback is a fairly irrelevant position when you break it down. I mean, if your starting and backup quarterback go down to injury or if something happens to them, no third-string quarterback is feasibly going to be able to save you. So if we decide to only carry 2 quarterbacks, and that looks like that's what we've got, then that's what we've got, and I'm fine with that decision. 2 bigger moves that were made. Michael Robinson has been released, the fullback, a guy that I really liked, a guy that made a Pro Bowl once a couple years ago, a guy who played well in my opinion last year, but he got sick these last 2 weeks. He didn't play in the last 2 preseason games, which gave Spencer Ware the opportunity to show he could play fullback, and it also gave Derek Coleman a chance to prove what he could do. We also used the tight ends lining up as fullback, Zach Miller and Luke Wilson, and with those things in mind, we decided we could do without a very good lead blocker and pass catcher. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm out of it a little bit today. I was in a car accident yesterday, a couple days ago, and still dealing with that. But we decided we could do without him. I think he's a really good player, but when you look at modern NFL offenses, fullbacks barely matter. So I understand why you don't want to carry a whole bunch of fullbacks. So he'll be missed because he was a good personality and a good guy to have around. And also, Antoine Winfield has decided to call it a career. He was beat out by Walter Thurmond, who had a brilliant preseason game against Oakland, who's had a really good camp, a really good preseason in general, and I get it. I don't have a problem with Walter Thurmond being the nickelback. I think he's probably overqualified as that, and if you're Antoine Winfield, who's been around a long time, you don't need to stick around to be a 4th cornerback. So I wish him well in his post-playing career, and I totally understand why this move was made by him, and that basically sets our team. So that is what we're looking at right now with this roster. We've got our 53 players, and we are ready to go into Carolina. And this should be a really entertaining season. I have high expectations, and it sucks to see some quality backup players go like this, but that's the nature of the NFL, and you can only carry 53 players. So I'll talk to you guys before the Carolina game at some point. About an hour away from the Huskies opener, so I'm going to sit down, watch that, hope for the best, hope we find a way to pull it out, and I'll be having a video about that probably tomorrow. So see you guys later, and let's do this.